What I thought was going to be a silly little game about me being a cameraman in a reality TV show quickly turned into something that I would not have been able to guess had you given me a whole year. Hi, my name is Exalclaw. If you're new here, hello. If you're not new here, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of my most anticipated games of the year after I played the demo after the Summer Game Fest, the Crush House. Now, if you remember my video about the Summer Game Fest demos that I played, the Crush House was not easily my favorite, but still my favorite. I love the concept of it. It's amazing to me that there hasn't been a game already where you are a cameraman following around a reality TV show, given how ubiquitous reality TV is, especially in the States and now worldwide. It's nuts to me. On paper and from what I got in the demo, this was everything that I would have ever wanted from a reality TV show game. Now, me personally, on the spectrum of couldn't name a single reality TV show if I wanted to being able to give the entire birth chart on every single contestant of couple to throuple, I'm like a little bit in the middle. I know them, I've watched a few of them with my partner, with my family, my friends, but I wouldn't call myself an avid watcher. And maybe, actually, yeah, I'll say it, more importantly, I'm aware of the cruelty of reality TV. I understand the poor working conditions, both in front of and behind the camera. More often than not, we're probably 6 months away from a news headline that goes, Love Island contestants starved, thirsty, and had their dog killed as part of the audition. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but you get the gist. But it's good television. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not good television. There's a reason that it sells. It just needs better working conditions. Somehow, I think that's the same message this game has. See, something happens after you play one season of the game, which I'm going to explain how seasons work in a second, that pretty much changed, not the entire way I think of this game, but like made me analyze it harder than I would expected myself to. So I'm going to do here first, I'm going to give a general review of the game, talk about its mechanics, why I like it, why and then I'm going to get into the, oh, wow, so you were having a little bit of a critique moment. Okay, I see you, girly. I like this. And that'll be the second part of the video. Set in 1999, The Crush House is the hottest, most dramatic, most titillating reality TV show to hit the broadcasting networks. It's a huge hit, people love it, and you're lucky enough to be the new camerawoman, Jay Jimenez Jung, who is going to now be spending Monday through Friday filming 4 contestants around the house as they fall in love, become friends, fight, and get up to general buffoonery. Now, when I first played this game, the demo only lets you play 4 characters. I believe it was Alex, Priscilla, Emile, and what's her name? Charlie? I think it's Charlie. But as expected, the full release gave you the full 12 characters to work with, and half the fun in this game is mix and matching who's going to be in the house with each other. Some people are going to work better with others, some people are going to fight immediately, some people are going to be dating on the first day. And you can get a general feel for this by looking at the character sheets next to each character when you like select them. But in general, you're not going to get the full breadth of like how this thing's going to maneuver until you're in the house with these people, because trust me, they be doing anything. And the way that you progress through the Crush House is through filling the audience meters. Each audience is very distinct. You got some wholesome ones, regular fans of the show, people that are into film, people that are into art that want to see the art around the room, around the whole mansion. The mansion, by golly, the mansion. Look at this damn thing. I almost forgot to mention it. It looks gorgeous. It's great to run around. It's fun to jump around because you can actually jump in this game. And it's fun to try and get creative camera shots in too. And part of the way you will decide how those camera shots look is through listening to the audience. They will be giving not so subtle hints about what they want. For example, the feet guys. They're going to ask you to zoom in on the feet. The butt guys. They're going to ask you to liberate the pants. And the wine moms really like Emile. You'll actually notice that some of the audiences do have favorite contestants. Like the the no seatbelt wearing audience, the libertarians, love Gunther. Which is crazy because Gunther is so funny, but he's also like a conspiracy theorist. Like you look at Gunther and you're like, okay, I know the vibes. I'm not sure I'm gonna like him, but I think I know them. And he does nothing to disprove what I've thought of him when I first saw him and read his character sheet. But that's half the fun in this game. You know how reality TV goes? It definitely attracts a certain kind of person, certain kind of contestant. And that's not to speak badly on the people that do hop on these shows, even though some of them literally are the devil incarnate at times. They're going to have wild, colorful, larger than life personalities more often than not. And this game very much captures that feeling. So from Monday through Friday, you're going to be filming these characters, satisfying the audience's whims, and trying your best to not get canceled because the network, the people behind the show are cutthroat. they will cancel that show the day of. They will send you down the failure elevator at the end of the day if they did not like your performance. It doesn't matter if it's Monday, it doesn't matter if it's Friday. They will cancel it before the full season is out if you do not satisfy the entire audiences or the audiences that they ask you to retire. Sometimes it's like 3 out of 40 audiences. Once you get to the later seasons, it turns into like 5 out of 5 of the audiences, which is a whole other thing. Do your best to not get canceled, and by the end of the season, you may be lucky enough to watch the contestants slide down the success slide. There's gonna be times where it gets tricky to fill up the audience meter, and that's where the props come into place. See, you're not going to be holding up the camera the entire time and just going live and just putting it down when you want to run somewhere. You can actually play ads in between. So as you're running around the house, you can flip through these different ads. Very funny, by the way. I love the fact that this game has a sense of humor from top to bottom. And you can even get audience bonuses, which just translates to more money from each ad, depending on what ad you're playing. Accumulate these ads over the days, and you will have the luxury of buying yourself anything from tiki torches to a flamingo to a off and popping karaoke stand to your dad's favorite grill set to a sauna. They went above and beyond with what you are allowed to buy. And then once you get the gist of all that down, you're just kind of left to the races, going from season to season to season until you either just get bored of the game or until you reach its end. And that's basically the core premise of the game, which I think is really important to establish now, because I will say this immediately. You do not like the core premise and mechanics of this game, don't get it. Just straight up. While I can tell this is easily going to be one of my favorite games, it's because this scratched all of my right itches. Like, this game is definitely for a specific type of person that's not really looking for something like super action paced per se. They just love the concept of it, and they really like the core mechanics already, and that's what they're going to be rolling with. Like, the game, while it gets more complicated and the more audiences it throws at you, the different types of audiences it throws at you, because there's a lot of audiences actually, there is nothing that'll be different from the core mechanic that you are seeing on screen. But if it does seem good for you, or if you're just a fan of reality TV, you just want to try a new kind of game, absolutely. Like, don't take that disclaimer as me not recommending the game. I really like it. I really like it. It's something that, while I can see it having a wall eventually, I can imagine myself coming to play this again and again, honestly speaking, just when I want to have some fun vibes. Which brings me to like the actual mechanics of it. I mean, the real fun of the game for me was the joy of being a cameraman. Like, yeah, you're doing a lot to make sure you're still getting all the audiences and their whims met, so that way you don't get the show canceled. At one point, you're going to realize it's not too hard to do that, at least for like the earlier seasons until things get later. So a lot of time it's just me running around, hopping and jumping, getting up close and personal with the contestants, doing these little camera leans to like make them look a little bit sharper, a little bit more artistic, a little more cinematic. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to like actually do camera work. So this game kind of gives you that false, like, being a cameraman is infinitely more complicated than what you're seeing on screen, obviously, if you don't know, but it's fun to cosplay as one. Also, something that I do want to mention from the demo, there's a couple of different things that I noticed are different from how the game actually plays from here to the demo. Weirdly enough, the first thing I noticed was they don't have this cabana in front of the welcome elevator for some reason. It was there the entire demo, but like now I guess they just decided it just didn't look good, which like I actually don't really care. I didn't miss it, but it was just funny that like this huge fixture in the demo just was gone. But the more relevant one is I can't tell if this is just because I played the demo and I was ready for this, or if it was actually changing the game. For some reason, I feel like it was easier to make money during the full release. Like, I was struggling to buy props during my first playthrough of this game. Like, I maybe could get like a few cute little things here and there on like Wednesday or Thursday. And then by the time Friday comes around, you're not gonna be able to buy anything Friday night because the season's over. So I was like, oh man, even when the full release, maybe this is just not gonna be for me. But two things happened that dashed that worry away. A, I just had a much easier time making money, like I mentioned. And B, the props actually carry over season to season. So even when you finish season 1, everything that you bought season 1 will still be there season 2. So it's not like you have to constantly rebuy props either. Like, you can actually accumulate things, which is a really nice touch. Money doesn't though. Now, if I've been doing a good job editing this so far, something else that you'll have noticed is that these characters are dynamic. They're expressive, their body movements are very dynamic. The fight animation, I don't remember what it was before during the demo. I don't remember if it was just like this or something light, but the fact that the full release is full on swinging, Oh my god, the first time that happened, I busted out laughing, dude. And even though the conversations that they do have are going to end up repeating themselves after a certain point, once you get them the first time, like the first time's a lot of fun, and then even seeing how they end up talking to different cast members, because again, there's 12 of them, so there's a couple different permutations there, is a lot of fun. Another nice thing that was a change from the demo, they actually put the relationships between the characters above their head. Beforehand, the demo does the same thing that the full release does, is just putting down the relationship dynamics in the journal or the PDA that the camera woman Jay has. But in the actual game now, if you look above their heads, you will actually see the status change in front of you. Very convenient for just understanding what the current dynamics are without having to constantly go into your PDA. It's a small change, but one that I enjoy because I didn't have to like go back and forth so much. Now, something about the characters that I haven't mentioned yet is that during the nighttime when you can purchase props for the next day, some of the characters will also sneak out themselves. Or I'm not sure if it actually considers sneaking out or if just being up late, but they'll break the rule. One of the explicit rules of the entire game is don't talk to the contestants, don't talk to the talent. The talent's gonna want to talk to you, and they're gonna make some very specific requests. So you can choose whether or not to listen to them, whether or not to listen to the network or to listen to the cast members, and fulfill their tasks. The tasks are very in character. My favorite one by far is, I believe it's either Dia or Ao. I think it's Ao who says, who her whole thing is that she asks you, because she's one of the girls that's like, she knows what she hears for. She wants to become superstar. She wants to become the moment, the girl, the it girl. So when she talks to you at night, she's like, all I need you to do is film me becoming enemies with someone. But my ass, this dump truck, these two mountains in my back pocket, they need to be in the shot at the same time. So that's pretty much my review of the game's mechanics. Now I'm going to talk about another part of the game that was hinted at the demo but came into full force in the full release. To the end of the demo, a mysterious voice ends up talking to you, pretty much letting you know there's some other things going on here that you may not be privy to. So going into the crush house, I knew that this was an element and I was just kind of waiting for it to hit me. And spoilers. If this isn't going to be obvious, spoilers. So season 1 finishes, you immediately get pushed into season 2, and something strange immediately hits me about season 2. See, at the end of season 1, when you go down the success slide, the production assistant talking to you from the weird, creepy walkie-talkie is like, hey, stay in contact, you did a great job. But then when the second season starts, they talk to me like I'm new. To pick up my ID card again, they say things didn't work out with the last producer, even though I was the last producer, and not to toot my own horn, but I killed it. I was confused. And I can't remember if it's at the beginning of Monday or at the end of Monday for season 2. That's when you get contacted by the mysterious voice. So like I mentioned, I already knew that there was going to be a whole secret society thing from the demo, so I had already started doing some of the tasks during my season 1. And then in season 2, that's when they're officially like, hey, we see you listening to the cast members. We see you actually breaking the rules. Come down to floor -3. Now, for me personally, it was impossible to not make a comparison. People that had contacted me to the basement to some of the cast members that I was already seeing, specifically Alex and B, or Bay, or Bea. I'm gonna say B for now. And these guys basically slow drip you information about what's going on by you doing the task. Actually, it's not a slow drip, honestly. Do 3 tasks and you get another part of the deeper story revealed. And I felt really good about that because, and I'll say this now for anyone that wants to do this themselves and like has decided that this is the moment that they want to go try and just figure this out themselves. You don't need to do all 12 of the contestants' tasks, fortunately, to figure out or get to one of the endings. You do need to do a minimum of 9. I guess we're just gonna have to talk about it. There's no real way to like talk about this in a just not this whole revelatory way. Clones. So it turns out that when the original cast of 12 people and this third dude named, I don't even remember, that wasn't my friend, Tony, the 12 contestants and Tony, I guess when they originally signed on to the deal without reading the fine print because, you know, stars in their eyes, money, all the usual things you hope to get out of a reality TV show, were blinding them from the fact that they signed literally the worst deal ever. See, what's actually happening at the beginning of each season is that you're not getting the original cast of characters, and these characters aren't even existing in like some amorphous vacuum where it's like a Smash Bros menu and you're just picking up some guy for the current run of what you're doing. The original cast of characters are constantly being cloned at the beginning of each season to act a fool from Monday to Friday and then start the whole process again on the weekend. And apparently this has been going on for a while. Like, you pick up through dialogue with OGB and OG Alex that this has been going on for a long time, potentially decades, and the effects that it has had on the original cast are terrible. You don't see any of the original cast, at least from my version of what I finished with. But I mean, just looking at these two, it ain't been pretty. Another really awesome part of this game is that once you kind of make contact with these two, they start talking to you more throughout during the nighttime specifically, because, there's still hush hush about the whole thing. And so once you finish the task for a specific cast member, they'll start telling you the story of the cast member, but the original one. So you start hearing all these fall from graces, the mental and physical toll that the show actually took on these people. And it's here where I started to realize that these whole clone thing, this was actually going to be the game's way of critiquing reality TV. See, beforehand, I thought all the criticisms were going to be cheeky. Obviously, the camera woman is being kept in pretty poor conditions compared to the rest of the contestants. She's being asked to do a whole lot of work on her own. Like, the exploitation is there and in your face. They're treating it as a joke. It felt comedic, so I thought that's where we're going to start and stop. But then once you get into these stories, it's like, oh no, this is actually trying to be a discussion about the dark side of reality TV. About you don't always get what you think you're going to get once you end up on one of these shows. How there are certain things that you can predict that you can never predict. The fact that there's a very real mental and physical cost. That rise to fame and then subsequent fall from it can hit hard for some people. Some brief discussion about what it's like to be the unpopular cast member and what that does to someone's mental. It's never like super long and like detailed backstories that you would sit down and spend 20 minutes listening to or reading. But as the tasks develop and you're reading more of them, you realize it's less about trying to give detailed analysis of one character and more capturing the entire insincerity and cruelty of what's being done in the first place. I almost forgot to mention, the camera woman's a clone too. See, part of the reason that OGB and OG Alex are geeked is because apparently it started with your character where there was a shift. For some reason, your clone started acting different from all the other ones. All the other clones basically think they're just starting to show fresh. They have no kind of preconception of what's going on. They're just there doing their thing. Completely ignorant to like the evil of the network outside of what they would already assume about reality TV ahead of time. But I guess it's something about your character in specific, Jay here, the player, where something changed where once you start talking to the cast members and like breaking the rules, that's when the OGs are like, oh, planning time, scheming time, this might be our ticket. And you can feel how desperate they are for this win. Like, there's something about the stark contrast that this basement ends up having compared to the glamour and glitz of the mansion upstairs. Everything upstairs is vibrant, extremely colorful. Down in the basement, dull, muted colors. Again, the OGs are wrapped up in bandages. It's very obvious they're making the best with what they can do, and what they can do is not a whole lot until you come onto the scene. Now approaching this with a bit more of like, you are actually trying to say something about production of reality TV. It feels much more fitting and intentional than just being like, the secret society is always going to hang out in the basement. It felt like, no, we are trying to let you know reality TV has a dark side, and that dark side's impact just can't be seen because of the way that it's curated and crafted by, in part, your character, but more largely the network, the organization, the producers of the show that have the final say on everything. You would be forgiven for not even thinking that this would have been a consideration just based off of the way the game is like shown to you from just a design, like a UI design standpoint of like, cast the characters, run through the house, let me choose them. Like, you're not thinking about the fact that there's like a whole messed up lore underneath everything. So I was a very happy surprise. I really didn't know what this was going to be. Now, the other tragic part of what's happened here is that even once you come onto the scene, there becomes a very clear split on the approach on what to do now that they know that you're in. OG Alex just wants to free everybody, hop on the boat, and get out of here. Wash your hands of the whole thing. Do nothing else about the actual overlords. Just save my friends. Get out of there. OGB, on the other hand, wants to blow the whole operation up. They're like, no, I want you to film what's happening. I want you to show the outside world. I want people to see what's being done to us and then have them do something about it. I don't want the public to be complacent anymore. And so once you get to all 9 tasks and you have both of their end goals revealed to you separately, they don't tell the other one about it, but they will find out. Now, both of their endings only happen at the end of the season. I was going to ask you to fail today. I'm going to ask you to fail meeting the audience's expectations, get the show canceled on the last day and send everyone down the failure elevator, because I think he redirects the failure elevator to the beach. Now, on the other hand, OGB is going to ask you to send all the contestants down the success slide and then ask you to go down back to the basement and record the Crusher doing its whole thing. So as you see here, I sent them down the slide. I started doing some crazy parkour trying to get down back to the ground floor level of the mansion, went down to the basement, and then a cutscene starts. And this cutscene starts with Jay filming the Crusher in its full green goo Nickelodeon slime glory. You see the tube's purpose, you see all these flashing lights, and to me, I'm reading this as, okay, oh, it's like that. The juice that's plastered all over the mansion, by the way, is the clones. The juice is the clones. It looks like they send the bodies into the blender, blend them, and then send them into new clones for another iteration, as I hinted at earlier. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw this cutscene, I was a bit thrown. I was truly trying to understand how to interpret this ending. Because on the one hand, B clearly starts panicking, or not panicking, but she's like, something's wrong, something's not right here. It looks like OGJ, OG version of your character, pops out from the shadow, again like Batman, and puts you into a freaking chokehold, and everything cuts to black after that. You see these other four figures stagger out looking like Danganronpa characters out of their capsules. There's this weird yellow capsule one in the middle that's clearly different from the other ones, which I suspect is Jay, if I'm being honest with you. I think that's Jay, just because it fits better since she's so distinctly not a cast member. And then the game just rolls credits. And then that's the Crush House. Or at least one playthrough of the Crush House. At the time of recording this, I have not actually gone back and played Alex's route. I'll be honest, I didn't like Alex that much. Not because he's badly written, it's because he's written well enough for me to dislike him as a character. But I plan on playing the Crush House on stream on Wednesday, and we'll probably do that. So if you want to go see that, you can. Just watch the VOD later if you don't want to watch it live. Or just look it up on YouTube. I'm not your mother. But I wonder if his ends off on a more positive note, because I'll be honest, once I finished it, I was kind of just like, ugh. That kind of felt gross. I'm realizing that I may have taken part in murdering 4 people that I spent 5 days with in that blender. You know, even if they're clones, I still feel pretty bad about it. It looks like the cycle's going to continue anyway. From the way that the chat in the side started freaking out and started also, again, giving lines of code, I don't know what's up with that. Are they saying that the chat was not actually the chat, or are they just saying that like the whole system started crashing the minute they saw that because the network was trying to interfere with the broadcast because they knew the jig was up? I don't know. At the end of the day, we did what B asked and we revealed the cruelty of what's happening to the world, but like, because the game stops there, I don't know how the world responded. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a cruel ending, but again, that's kind of how reality TV is, man. Like trying to refer to what I was talking about at the beginning of this, there's a lot of reality TV shows. It's Netflix's bread and butter. It's what every single studio starts doing once the writers go on strike. Reality TV is unfortunately a profit-making machine. So it kind of just leaves you not feeling odd, not being like, oh my God, F reality TV. I don't even think that was a takeaway from this. Reality TV connects with people for a reason. You can see wonderful stories on reality TV. I'm not going to be the one to judge people about what they watch, especially like, again, I watch it myself. And even though I've had an attitude about reality TV, and some reality TV is just objectively worse than others, and it's really like, why are you watching that? Let people watch what they want to watch. Just also at the same time, treat the people on screen like humans. But less about the larger existential part of that, or the larger societal aspect of that. Just personally speaking, I really like that tone switch. Once that reveal happened to me, the rest of the game, the glitz and the glamour, I just couldn't look at it the same. And I think a game that can pull that off, A-okay with me. In terms of final thoughts, I would love to see this game continue to get updates. I do want this to get more support from the team after the fact that they are going to do that. I would love to see more characters. I would absolutely love to see a new house. Like if they can get a new house or just new mansion that's like separate from the story that's going on here, because I feel like the mansion that they're working in is pretty important to the story that's going on. That'd be great too. Because like I said, I think there's a certain subsect of people who just really love this game mechanic, and like give them a big enough house, give them more characters to work with. I think they'll be constantly picking this up, or like leave it alone and then pick it up 3 months later when you drop new stuff as the usual post-game lifecycle goes. I have no clue how feasible this would actually be or if it would make sense, but it would be so hilarious if there was a Twitch extension that would intermingle some of your own chats into the sidebar with the rest of the audience is. I can just imagine that being very funny. So yeah, that's the Crush House. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you did, wonderful. Leave a like, comment. If you've played the game yourself, tell me what you think. If this made you want to play the game, tell me what you think after the fact. Like I said, I'm really happy this game delivered on exactly what I wanted it to. This is one of those moments where like I just wanted more of what the demo had, and it gave me more of what the demo had with a few tweaks of the things that were problems for me beforehand. So this was like a very happy treat for me. Great little weekend thing to get through. I don't think my total playtime maxed out past 10 hours. Let me actually check that real quick. My playtime was exactly 9.1 hours, which honestly speaking, that actually means it was close to 8.5 because there was definitely a 30-minute period of time where it was just playing where it was just on a pause menu because I was walking my dog. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Ciao.